Today on Showreel, the animated story of a haughty race car. We look at the first Arab to top the British pop singles charts. Preview opulent glamour at Valentino. And look at the retelling of the Poseidon adventure. So let us take you through all there is to know with Showreel.
If you were ever in a fight, Bana is the man you'd want to have on your side. Brad Pitt and Eric both did their own fighting scenes in the Wolfgang Peterson-directed epic Troy. They also made an agreement that they would pay for every hit they accidentally made to one another. The costs were $50 for a lighter blow and $100 for a hard hit. Pitt ended up paying $750 to Bana, who didn't have to pay Pitt anything when filming Wrapped.
Action star Vin Diesel was listed as a potential nominee on both the 2003 and the 2004 Razzie Award nominating ballots in the Worst Actor category for Knockaround Guys and Triple X. Vin received another potential nominee listing for his role in A Man Apart. His breakthrough nomination finally came through for Worst Actor in the 2004 film The Chronicles of Riddick. However, he didn't come away with an award.
It wasn't all smooth sailing for the casting of Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, with the toast of Hollywood all wanting the role. Gwyneth Paltrow was originally set to play Jane Winslet Richardson, but couldn't because of scheduling conflicts. Nicole Kidman then expressed interest, and Wes Anderson hired her. However, Kidman was forced to bow out due to other commitments, and Julianne requested the role. However, it eventually went to Cate Blanchet. Anderson later admitted actress Kate Winslet inspired the character name.
I'm only 52.
When Wallace and Gromit: Return of the Were-Rabbit was released in Portland in the UK, the film posters had to be altered to remove the word rabbit. There is a local superstition that prohibits the use of this word, instead using terms such as underground mutton or furry things. The word rabbit isn't used because burrowing can cause dangerous landslips in the local stone quarrying industry. The film posters in Portland use the alternative slogan, "Something bunny is going on."
John Lasseter's film combines his two lifelong loves, the animated and automotive worlds. The director of the Toy Story movies, Lasseter returns with Cars, the animated story of a haughty race car that gets a lesson on life in the slow lane. For Lasseter, Cars rolled off the assembly line of his childhood.
The movie Cars is a very personal story for me. You see, my father was a parts manager at a Chevy dealership in the town I grew up in, Whittier, California. And my mom was an art teacher. And I've always loved animation, always wanted to work for Disney, you know, worked at Disney, followed my interest in computer animation and so on. But when the idea came up for doing maybe an idea with Cars being alive, I thought, this I love.
The film is set in a world populated by talking automobiles, featuring the voice of Owen Wilson as Lightning McQueen, a hotshot rookie race car so cocky he thinks he can roll through life without family and friends to provide roadside assistance.
Car wash hippie. Look, I'm Lightning McQueen.
Cars is also a reflection of the real-life lessons John learned about making time for family and friends amid his professional success.
I slowed down. I had so much fun with my family. I came back knowing what Cars needed to be about. That a character learns what I learned that summer, that the journey in life is a reward. It's about, you can have your careers, you can have your deadlines, you can have your awards, you can have your successes and all that stuff, but it's so much better to be surrounded by family and friends, to share in those successes.
On the way to a big race, Lightning McQueen ends up stranded in Radiator Springs, a sleepy borough along Route 66.
Hey, do I spot a little pinstriping tattoo back there?
Oh, you saw that?
John explains his perfect car to Showreel.
I think if I was a car, it would be have enough seats for 7 people, right? But have at least 500, maybe 600 horsepower and handle like the finest sports car, right? So you could take your family wherever you want, but then every now and then when you're alone, you could really like hit the road and have fun.
In Radiator Springs, Lightning learns the true meaning of friendship and family.
How does a Porsche wind up in a place like this?
I fell in love.
Oh, Corvette.
Hey there, Mater.
You know her?
She's my fiancée.
What?
I'm just kidding. She just likes me for my body.
In our hotspot this episode is John Lasseter, whose own childhood toys were the inspiration for Woody and Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story, with Woody based on John's pull-string Casper.
Chrissie Hynde, the iconoclastic frontwoman of the Pretenders, said she got involved with the band's box set, Pirate Radio, to make sure it was done right. Hynde, who considers herself more of a music fan than a musician, says she set out to put something together that she would want to listen to, rock and roll.
You know, the Pretenders really has been a rock band, and I think the stuff that has been on the radio has been the more poppy, you know, mid-tempo stuff, which is nice too, but, you know, I wanted to represent us for what, you know, the spirit of the band, which is more rock.
The Pretenders cranked out numerous hits that were a cross between punk and new wave. Hynde's rock and roll attitude and her autobiographical songwriting drew in crowds. But in 1982, tragedy struck when bandmates James Honeyman Scott and Pete Farndon both died of drug overdoses. Hynde wasn't sure how to continue, but felt she had to honour her bandmates somehow.
You know, I never thought the Pretenders could exist outside of me and Pete and Jimmy and Martin, the original Pretenders. If one of us left the band, I thought we'd have to change the name and start all over. And then when Pete and Jimmy both OD'd on drugs within the space of a year of each other, and, you know, it got all, you know, a lot of events which we hadn't anticipated came very quickly, and well, how can I say this without sounding really crap? But yeah, I really kept the thing going as a tribute to the band, and also I was, you know, I think in retrospect quite traumatized by the way things had gone.
In 2005, the Pretenders were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Hynde has become a role model for many female rockers. But Hynde says she doesn't care about any of that. She never set out to become a celebrity or a music icon.
I'm not trying to change anything. I'm not trying to say anything. You really play guitar in a rock band because it's, you know, it's more fun than being a waitress. That's all it was for me. I don't think I broke any ground or did anything different. Well, I know I haven't.
Hynde may not think so, but Pirate Radio surely proves her wrong. The box set features 81 songs and 19 concert and television performances.
Our Showreel Top 5 this episode looks at the top 5 Pretenders songs. In the #1 spot is Brass in Pocket with Don't Get Me Wrong at number 2. Back on the Chain Gang is in at number 3, while Message of Love and I'll Stand By You round out the top 5. A cult is defined as a cause, person or object admired by a minority. Without cults in general, movies in particular, the world would be a very dull place. Donnie Darko is a 2001 cult film, the first by writer and director Richard Kelly. Set in 1988, the movie is a psychological science fiction film about a boy named Donnie Darko, who, after narrowly escaping death, has visions of a giant rabbit named Frank who predicts when the world will end. The film didn't perform well in theaters, but since its release on home video, it has become a cult hit. Pulp Fiction is a cult film directed by Quentin Tarantino. It was released to critical and public acclaim and is widely regarded by many as a milestone in movie history, helping to establish an independent film movement in the United States. Its fragmented storyline, dialogue, and numerous pop culture references have since colored countless movies. Brian De Palma's saga Scarface was first released in 1983 and hailed Al Pacino's towering performance as the Cuban immigrant Tony Montana. It has since become a cult movie, resulting in a widespread influence on generations of audiences and directors.
Okay. Say hello to my little friend!
1980s blockbuster The Blues Brothers remains a much-loved film decades after its original release.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint. They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
The musical comedy hit starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd has a broad fan base all over the world. Since it imploded critically and commercially in 1995, Showgirls has gained such a fringe following of movie fans that distributor MGM released a special edition DVD set, playing up the film's campy atrociousness. The 1995 film was a legendary flop. Director Paul Van Hoven was ridiculed for purveying sleaze. Writer Joe Hester has barely worked in Hollywood again after writing the outlandish dialogue. So, which cult will you join?
Akeelah and the Bee centers around an 11-year-old lower middle-class girl from Los Angeles who beats the odds and ends up a top competitor at a national spelling bee.
A-T-I-O-N, 'cause it's how I feel all the time.
Keke Palmer explains her role in the film.
This movie, you know, it's basically about this 11-year-old girl from South Central, and because of where she comes from, she's a little afraid to let people know how smart she is because she doesn't want them to think that she thinks she's better than them. So she kind of keeps it inside, and then her teacher kind of introduces her to, you know, this really great speller, you know, that can help her become, you know, show her great abilities and become the best she can.
Akeelah enters various spelling contests, for which she is tutored by Dr. Larrabee, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and the proud residents of her neighborhood.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
5,000 new words.
5,000?
You'll consume it. You will own it. And then you know what you'll be.
Tired.
Akeelah's aptitude earns her an opportunity to compete for a spot in the Scripps National Spelling Bee, and in turn unites her neighborhood, who witness the courage and inspiration of one amazing little girl.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
What does it mean?
That I'm not supposed to be afraid.
Afraid of what?
Afraid of...
I bet you just look around, you got 50,000 coaches.
Kick his butt, Akeelah. B-U-T-T, butt.
You go, Akeelah, ready?
Akeelah and the Bee is an inspirational triumph over adversity.
Found out there was the National Spelling Bee. You've seen yourself holding up that trophy, but if you can't say it, you can't win it. So say it.
I want to win.
You want to win what?
I want to win a National Spelling Bee!
A former goat herder and a male stripper sold twice as many records as Madonna to become the first Arab to top the British pop singles charts. Chico told Showreel he was especially proud to be the first Arab to top the charts with debut single It's Chico Time.
What can I say? MashaAllah, really, it's beyond dreams. And it's you dream a dream and hope that it becomes a reality. But when it becomes a reality, and to know that I'm the first Arab to do that, it's a very, very proud moment.
Chico wants to duet with Madonna and says it would give him the opportunity to apologise to her for taking her place at the top of the UK chart.
You know, Madonna is a living legend, and so we're hoping that I can sort of emulate some of her success. But I never set out to knock her off the top spot. I was just quite happy that it got into the charts and got released. For it to actually get to #1 was wow. To get to Madonna and knock her on top, that's double wow.
Chico came to prominence on British television talent show X Factor, where his personality, dance routines and cheeky grin compensated for his singing. Chico cites Western music as influences, with Elvis and Michael Jackson leaving the biggest impression on him.
When I was in Morocco, the only person I knew was Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, and Bob Marley. So when I'd come over, and Elvis. Elvis was my all-time favorite because, I mean, I just looked at him and I thought, wow, because he was so handsome and whatnot. When I come over here, I saw Michael Jackson in his heydays in Thriller time, and you know, just like everybody else in the world, we were mesmerized with what he did. So yeah, I always look at Michael Jackson and I say, he's everything I would like to be musically, and I'm sure I'm everything he would like to be physically.
To avoid being cast with the label of one-hit wonder, which has plagued many of his talent show peers, Chico released an album with a Middle Eastern flavour.
A lot of people say to me, you kind of remind me a little bit of Ricky Martin's style, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, well, I can do that kind of music, but what I want to hit them, I want to introduce the Arabic to the world, but on a big scale.
While also harbouring dreams to make short films, it would be an ambitious leap from its Chico time, which features the chorus, well, you can get delirious if you take life too serious.
The big screen adaptation of V for Vendetta, a cult graphic novel, stars Natalie Portman and Australian Hugo Weaving in the leading roles. The hero in the Wachowski brothers' cinematic adventure is a terrorist at war with the totalitarian British government. The masked crusader, known only as V, vows to destroy the Parliament building and seek vengeance on the corrupted government. His quest is to free the people of England from the tyranny of its leaders.
We're under siege here. Whole city's gone mad.
Portman said the film gave her a new understanding of the different aspects of violence.
I think I just thought in different ways about the issues surrounding violence. When, if ever, is violence justified, and what aspects of violence do we legitimize or not legitimize? And I guess I learned different ways of thinking about it, which I don't know if I've come to any conclusions, but it made my understanding more layered, I guess.
Portman plays Evie, who is rescued by V from a life and death situation. Thrown together by chance circumstance, Evie emerges as his unlikely ally in his plan to ignite a revolution and free a corrupted society. British actor Stephen Fry, who plays a television host who dangerously pokes fun at the government, said he did not expect a strong reaction from the London audiences.
I think Londoners are much less touchy, much less sensitive about the sacred nature of their symbols of democracy and of London itself. I don't think we get offended by the sight of the Houses of Parliament being blown up. After all, every 5th of November we burn Guy Fawkes, but it's a comic. We almost admire him, you know. It's a great moment. Hello, coming in a moment. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So I think Londoners will take it very well.
The narrative is set sometime in the near future and alludes to a period when wars have come to haunt the United Kingdom, which has descended into chaos.
Gentlemen, I want this terrorist found, and I want him to understand what terror really means.
We're working on several leads.
Her parents were detained when she was 12.
It was like those black bags erased them from the face of the earth.
You have one chance. You must tell us the whereabouts of Codename V.
Time for a showreel bite. V for Vendetta star John Hurt's defining film roles as John Merrick in The Elephant Man and as Max in Midnight Express both garnered him Oscar nominations. Valentino's spectacular ready-to-wear catwalk display in Paris demonstrated why he's a favourite of celebrities, from Julia Roberts to Gwyneth Paltrow. The designer draped dozens of models on a grand set of white steps, topped with a huge gleaming silver V, dressed in opulent evening gowns in satin and silk.
You're always safe.
Black was all over the catwalk, from short mohair jackets to narrow skirts. Valentino is a master of elegance and opulence, with his luxurious gowns dripping with intricate detailing. Italian model Maria Carla Boscono stood out in an empire-line dress, with a black velvet strapless top flowing into a rippling skirt made from alternating panels of white chiffon and shimmering black sequins. A Valentino show would not be complete without his trademark lipstick red, which he used for the final sequence of 4 gowns. The fabrics tended to be both delicate and rich, laces, chiffons and silk crepe, along with wool, leather and suede. Valentino has long been popular among European royalty, American socialites and celebrities, including Jackie Onassis, Elizabeth Taylor, Halle Berry and Jennifer Aniston.
This is Obsession.
Veteran director Wolfgang Petersen's disaster flick Poseidon follows a similar storyline to the 1972 film. When a tidal wave capsizes a luxury cruise ship in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean, a small group of survivors find themselves unlikely allies in a battle for their lives. Although there is a famous film called The Poseidon Adventure, Petersen holds that this film is not a remake.
What we do is basically only use the basic idea of a gigantic ship being hit by a wave and capsizes, and everything else is completely new. New characters, a new storyline, everything. Because I think it is not right to just make a remake. That film was really nice and good and well done and great characters. And I think now, so many years later, 35 years later or so, especially also when you face these disasters of our time, you know, from 9/11 to Katrina also, there is so much more, I think, a desire for reality, more reality to it. So our film will be much, much more really tough. Really hard-hitting.
Determined to fight their way to the surface, the group sets off through the disorienting maze of twisted steel and the upside-down wreckage.
I'm never gonna leave you.
Petersen acknowledged that some scenes in the film were tough to shoot for his cast.
These are not movie stars performing great things here and move mountains. No, these are people like you and me who are in situations that you could be in, I can be in. What would you do, what I do, and really feel it's them, not stunt guys who do it for them.
I need you to tell me that you love me.
There's nothing fair about who lives and who dies.
As the vessel rapidly fills with water, each must draw on strengths they didn't even know they possessed, fighting against time for their own survival. That's all we've got time for. See you next time on Showreel.